There's a gun rights discussion being had right now in the country of Trinidad and Tobago, in my country. And it's not the same kind of gun rights discussion that happens most frequently on the internet, because that's the one you see regularly over in the United States. And they have a little unique thing in there where they have a Second Amendment that kind of shows their rights to access to firearms. And the thing is, in their access to firearms, in their laws, that's based kind of on them being able to take over even the government, and the government not being able to infringe on their rights, etc., etc. Now, us here in Trinidad and Tobago, we do not have that in our law books. The government has that authority. You don't have any right to a firearm in that sense. But nonetheless, the discussion is being brought up because you can apply to get a license, and the questions are being asked. Why should it be difficult for someone to get a licensed firearm? If they fit all the criteria, why should it be so difficult a task? And recently we've seen in Trinidad and Tobago, our Prime Minister has come out speaking against too many people getting licenses for firearms. The Minister of National Security, same thing against it. The new acting Commissioner of Police, he also seems to be against it, and I am not sure why. The curious thing to me in this is, I asked in a previous live, what is the statistical reason for this? Is there some kind of evidence that the police have that seems to suggest a lot of these people that hold these legal firearms, that they're using these firearms to commit crimes? And I think that would be something that you would be able to get statistics on. All these weapons would be registered, all the owners would be registered. So if it's used in a crime, you'd be able to tell much more easily. And I was wondering where these statistics are. It seems like maybe the commissioner and the Minister of National Security heard me, because they came with some of the statistics. Now, after seeing exactly how it was phrased, I have some questions even on that, but it's still some statistics nonetheless, and that would be very useful. So we're going to dive into that and see how it all fits into the whole general discussion. And another thing that an independent senator who seems to be pushing in the direction of allowing more people to have these firearms, a point that he brought up about the nature of how our firearm laws were in the historic context, and why that may be good reason, good cause to change them presently. So before we dive into those discussions and those stories, hit that like button if you enjoy this content. If you enjoy seeing videos like this, hit that like button, drop a comment, tell me what you think. If you are not yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button also, and that notification bell, so you can be notified every time a new video drops. All right, let's jump in there. Hines, legal guns now a problem. That Hines is our Minister of National Security, and he is saying that the legal guns in and of themselves are now a problem in Trinidad and Tobago. He says legal firearms are now being used to commit crime in TNT. He made that comment while responding to a motion brought in the Senate by opposition Senator Wade Mack. During matters for adjournment, Mack called on the government to level with citizens about their crime-fighting efforts. He said with over 500 murders already for the year, TNT was in its most violent period since the 1960s. We are saying on behalf of the citizens that the government has to get off and do something properly to bring about a change. And don't even tell me about the bail bill. Don't tell about no bail bill. Those things have failed, Mark said. He said projections were showing the murder rate crossing 630 by the end of the year. The murder toll as of yesterday, that would have been the 7th. As of the 7th, the murder toll was 522. Mark said unemployment was also contributing to crime. Now, in his response, Hines said that they are satisfied, although they are working for more and more can be done, but they are satisfied that there is enough opportunity in the country to steer people away from crime. Now, I am a bit labored to make that point. As I often say, I don't believe in the poverty causes crime kind of thing, and I don't believe that young men who decide to become criminals, all they needed was a job and then they would not have been criminals. I think that has to do with a general breakdown in the morality of the society. If you look at the fact that young men that do not have a father in the home, they're overrepresented in criminal statistics. And that's not just a matter of money, that's a matter of discipline and upbringing. That's not just where the money is coming from. So, yeah, I could agree that increasing opportunities would help, but I don't think that is necessarily the main thing. Hines said apart from murders, all other serious crime was down. And if you know how I dislike that statistic, very often it seems like every year we have some different member of the national security whole apparatus quoting this statistic. Or of all serious crime is down, serious crime is down. I'm sure if you look at that, if you go searching for that on Google, you may find 1,000 different articles of that, and that's just from Trinidad. They use that same line all over the world. Now, a problem with that, I don't know necessarily for sure, because there's a saying there are two kinds of lies, damn lies and statistics, and who knows. But one of the problem with that whole serious crime metric is it's kind of fungible. You could twist it a bit. You could classify one crime in another way. You could take down records and put records in another way and in another time and with another name and under another heading and all of that. You could kind of shift things around, and that has been known to happen in certain places. I'm not saying that's what they're doing here, but the thing is, that's why people look at the murder rate primarily, because the murder rate is something that is much harder to cheat on. Dead bodies kind of make us stink, literally, and people can't know when their dead loved ones are missing. So the murder rate is oftentimes the most important one for a justifiable reason. So if you're saying that the murder rate is skyrocketing but all other serious crime is down, I cannot really take that as a job well done. The murder rate tells something also. If someone is able and willing to kill someone and they can get away with killing someone, that speaks already about the state of crime in the country. That says that someone could go to just about the most extreme of crimes and still get away with it. In terms of how we classify and stratify crimes in most places in the world, if we're being honest, murder is kind of the most significant. So if your murders are spiking and you aren't catching these people, you aren't getting a hold on that, it kind of doesn't even make sense that you say, well, all other serious crime is down. To me, that could kind of seem like if I had an infestation of termites in my house. My house is infested with termites. I can't bring a chest of drawer wardrobe home without it being eaten away in 2 weeks. And I call in an exterminator. Someone promised that this is the exterminator that could get your job done. And great, you come in to get rid of my termites. And you come in, you take over my house for a week. I come back in the next week and you're telling me, well, you have no more cockroaches in your house. I say, good, thank you. And you tell me, well, I got rid of all the mosquitoes in the little corners, and you had some spiders that were making webs also. And I'm like, all right, you could have probably leave the spiders, they don't bother me, but okay, what about the termites? And you're like, well, let's not speak about the termites quite yet. And then you tell me the house flies. We made sure there were no house flies when we went in. There was not one single fly with a compound eye inside there. And I'm like, great, what about the termites? That's kind of the big and important one. If you haven't gotten rid of the termites, and let's say it's a wood house or something like that, the entire house could fall down. That's the main thing you're there for. To even try to use the others as a boost, I think that other serious crime statistic, he should probably, fold that one up, keep it in your back pocket, and when the murder rate drops and you come out to speak about, look how we have taken control of the murder rate, you could add in, and by the way, the serious crime rate has always been down. With the murder rate up, that statistic, probably should remain in a pocket somewhere. However, he said Acting Police Commissioner MacDonald Jacob has alerted him that there is now an issue. That's the acting commissioner alerting the Minister of National Security with legally issued firearms being used to commit crimes. We are now finding out that legal weapons have emerged as a problem to us in Trinidad and Tobago, because the Commissioner of Police informed me yesterday that 108 legally issued weapons, listen to this, have been featured in serious issues gaining the attention of the police. Now, featured in serious issues gaining the attention of the police is not the same thing as a crime. And the Guardian article that I'm quoting this from has it in quotations from the Minister of National Security. Now, there's another article talking about this over on Express. And on the Express, they talk about that 108 figure and they use the word crime. Now, as far as I can understand, crimes and being featured in issues drawing the attention of the police are not the same thing. And the difference here, though, is the Express article puts crimes on their own accord. It seems like they interpreted what the Minister of National Security said there. But that's not actually what the quote says. According to his quote coming from The Guardian, it's 108 serious issues gaining the attention of the police. Now, in that case, if I have a weapon and I shoot someone who is coming in to rob me, I think that would be a serious issue that would gain the attention of the police. For example, 2 weeks or so ago, a couple were in a vehicle in a mall in South. Some young guy attempted to rob them. They say allegedly it was a fake gun he used, and unfortunately for him, the male, I believe, in the couple had a real gun, a licensed one, and he used it on him. Now, I would assume an issue like that would also be gaining the attention of the police. So, in the 108 issues, are we including those issues too, just because it gains the attention of the police? This statistic seems kind of shaky to me. Like, I'm not sure exactly what this statistic is telling me. Like, could you give me a clear statistic? Okay, there are 50 cases right now where illegal firearms were suspected to be used in the commission of a crime. Now, further than that, he said there were 4 murders in those 108 incidents. And even in that case, it's a curious thing to know. Were those murders, what was the context of those murders? Are all found guilty of murder already, or is that just a matter of still waiting on what the court would decide? Or I know for sure there at least would be one murder where the woman was murdered by her husband who had a legal firearm, and he killed himself. Would a suicide also be considered as a murder in that? You know, these are things that you would really want to find out, and I am interested to know that, because I want to know if they really do have some clear information, some clear statistical information that yes, these legal firearms are horrible for the country. If not, what is the issue? I would be very interested to know what exactly is the issue in trying to make sure you fend this off from too many people getting it, because it's not like the country isn't already going down a very violent path. You're trying to defend the country from getting violent, while it seems to me as violent as it wants to be. It seems to me that just about anyone who wants to engage in criminal activity, if you want to have an illegal gun in Trinidad and Tobago, it's just a matter of choice. It's not like the police can stop you from getting one. That's the way it seems to me, the proliferation of these guns. Now, there's an independent senator who previously spoke about, allowing more people to get the use of firearms, and he came out again recently. Don't punish gun owners. Independent Senator Dr. Varma Dialsingh has urged the government not to punish people for seeking to own firearms. Speaking in the debate on the finance bill in the Senate yesterday, Dialsingh said there was a time when only the selected few, such as judges and MPs, owned firearms. He said he grew up in a home with firearms since his father, a judge, and his colleagues owned firearms and would sometimes go hunting. He said everyone should be given an equal opportunity now to own a firearm and get proper training. And that is the piece I really agree with. The idea in Trinidad that the protection of someone by their own self, the ability for someone to protect themselves, is something only left for the select upper echelons of the society. is a classist, might I add, even colonialist kind of thinking mentality. And it seems kind of sad and pathetic that our current government seems to lean so strongly into it. Now, it's not surprising that a police service that would have been created and would have been evolved out of colonial police services would also retain that kind of thinking, especially people who are there for a long time. And that's the problem I have, because it seems in Trinidad that the problem many people have with more people having licenses for firearms isn't the violence out there. It's kind of an elitist thing. Like, this isn't something that everyone should have. But why should a judge or an MP, what makes them a better character to hold a firearm than a regular person? What makes that a thing? Okay, is it something that you need training for? Well, great. Make sure that in getting the firearm, there is that training. And that is the point that Mr. Dialsing also made too. I am trying to figure out what is this government's hesitancy. This is quoting from Mr. Dialsing here, or problem with getting people firearms. It is just like a car. If I have a license, I can buy 5 cars. If I went through the checks and balances, which are better than what obtains in the US, he's talking about Trinidad's checks and balances are better than those that obtain in the US. We have to look at permission from spouses, psychological assessment, police examine your home, certificate of police character, etc. Once persons have those checks, you give them firearms, because even trained people like policemen could have accidental and negligent discharges. That's true. Mistakes happen even among very trained people, and not only mistakes, tragedies happen even among very trained people. If we go through the years, the last 2 decades in Trinidad and Tobago, and we take an evaluation, how many general firearm users, licensed firearm users in the country committed murder crimes and the whole love triangle murder-suicide business, versus how many police officers or defense force officers did that. I wonder what that answer would be. And if you're saying that the regular population is not trustworthy for that, then what makes the police any more trustworthy? Dialsing said he had no problem with the government trying to restrict assault weapons such as an AK rifle. By the way, if you pay attention to the American discussion on firearms, you'd understand that the whole assault weapon, the term is rife with confusion, but never mind. Quoting from Mr. Dialsing here, but one has to understand that having a pistol now with 8 guys coming into your home, you can't defend yourself. If each of them has guns, you need something called a carbine pistol caliber carbine, which shoots a lot of rounds. So I'm just putting a plug in for powers that be to understand that if crime were okay, if there were not home invasions, I would not see the need to push for this. But in the present situation, I think we should seriously consider giving people the right to defend themselves, he said. And I rate Mr. Dialsing for this, because if he's coming from a home where his father was a judge, he is a medical doctor. I believe his wife is a medical doctor. He's also an independent senator. I can feel reasonably confident that if he wants to acquire a legal firearm, it would not have been very difficult for him. For all we know, he may have had one since he was of the legal age to carry one. But it's refreshing to me to see that even him being able to do it and seeing others excluded, that bothers him. And it bothers him enough to ask, why is that so? Why is it that some people can and some people can't? Shouldn't there be a justifiable reason for this? And I think this is a discussion that really should be had more seriously in this country, to see, for those who are interested in this, if it is an avenue that would be a workable one, especially looking at the nature of the crime in Trinidad and Tobago. As I regularly see with this issue, one of the main points I have in this is the nature, when you look at home invasions on CCTV footage in Trinidad and Tobago, criminals are not afraid to kick down someone's front door and barge into their house. I think, to put it plainly, a criminal should be afraid to do something like that. That's my thoughts on it. Tell me what you think. That's all I have for now. I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained. Drop a comment. Tell me what you think. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell if you are so interested in finding out when other videos drop. And I will see you in the next video. Laters.